Welcome to the Vault XL. Thank you for joining me. Yeah, it's hot in America right now. Please stay hydrated, everyone. If you're going to be out and about today, tomorrow, upcoming days, we're expected to have thunderstorms here in the high 40% chance in my area. It is very, very humid here in East Tennessee, very hot here, and I'm sure very hot in other places as well. Reached 96 degrees yesterday, which is probably a feeling of near 106. Thank you for joining me. This is a compilation video, Saturday, SmackDown Saturday of different storylines. Hello, Sammy P. Thank you for joining me. Today we're going to discuss Lizzo, R. Kelly, Allisha Watts' boyfriend, Donald Trump, and his cohorts. Let's start off with Allisha Watts. She has been found deceased behind a cemetery. African-American female that went missing. Her boyfriend has now been arrested. Thank you for joining me. You're now listening to the Vault XL. Stickers and chats are welcome during the live stream. And if you'd like to donate to this network, Cash App, $Big Angie 129. Thank you so much for your time.
And we are also continuing to follow breaking news this evening after the body of Allisha Watts was found in Montgomery County today. Thanks for joining us here at 11 o'clock, a big day in news in the Charlotte area. I'm Molly Grantham. Montgomery County Sheriff's deputies say Allisha's body was found in Montgomery County behind a cemetery. This is 70 miles from where she was last seen in Charlotte. You might remember Watts was last seen July 16th in northeast Charlotte at the home of her boyfriend, James Dunmore. Her vehicle was later found 2 days later at an Anson County DMV. Now, the Montgomery County Sheriff's Office says Dunmore has now been arrested and charged with murder. This is video we did get of him being led in handcuffs into the police department. This was this big moment, Dunmore being walked into the jail, in fact, in handcuffs. And tonight we're continuing our team coverage of the discovery of Allisha's body, from the latest from investigators to the family's reaction to digging deeper with domestic violence experts. But first, let's start with Carly Haynes, who is in Montgomery County tonight, where Allisha's body was discovered.
A bouquet of flowers marks the spot Allisha Watts was found today. Now, we still don't know what led deputies to search this area. Now, family and friends are holding out for justice. A month and a half's long search for Allisha Watts coming to an end on Thursday. It wasn't the ending family and friends wanted.
Your friend did not deserve this at all. At all. She was such a good person. And she did so much for this community. And I just don't understand why.
The Montgomery County Sheriff's Department says they found Watts' body near a cemetery in the small town of Norman, just 20 minutes away from where Watts lived in Moore County. This follows weeks of community vigils aiming to drum up awareness and get law enforcement to remain vigilant in their search.
We tried. We did not give up. We didn't give up.
The co-founder of the Black and Missing Foundation said that outreach helped sound the alarm for a case that could have gone cold.
Sadly, when people of color go missing, their cases are really not taken as seriously by law enforcement as they should be.
Now, attention turns to the suspect in custody. Watts' boyfriend and a person of interest in the case, James Dunmore, was arrested for murder at his home in Charlotte. He's currently being held at Montgomery County Jail. Dunmore has a violent past with convictions for kidnapping just 3 months ago. He'll make his first court appearance Monday morning. In Montgomery County, Carly Haynes, WBTV, on your side.
Carly, thank you. As this missing person case has now turned into a murder investigation, we have been following this story every step of the way. Our Nikki Hauser is outside the home in Charlotte where family members last saw Allisha now more than a month ago. Nikki.
This is where police arrested James Dunmore after investigators found Allisha Watts' body more than 50 miles away behind a cemetery in Montgomery County. In the meantime, it's certainly been an emotional night for the family, who's now learning to transition their feelings of uncertainty to loss. Hours after the family learned Allisha Watts' body had been found, you could see her boyfriend, James Dunmore, handcuffed and escorted to jail in Montgomery County. Police arrested Dunmore Thursday at the same home where Allisha's family members last saw her in Charlotte. After a month-long search, Montgomery County officials say she was found behind a cemetery an hour and a half away from Charlotte.
Hour and a half.
I'm so hurt right now. I can't.
Thursday's news igniting a painful mix of emotions for Allisha Watts' family.
He didn't have to do this. It was nothing. No cause to walk away.
It's weird. It's very weird, but hopefully this is the closure that we've been looking for.
Heartbreaking for family and for the community that rallied behind the search for Allisha and folded hands to find answers.
Of course, our hope was that she would be found alive.
The frantic search for a woman so loved, now settling into a fight for justice.
There's no way that you're going to take your girlfriend on a date to a cemetery. So I don't know how he even chose the spot that he chose.
That was really cowardly of you to drag it out this long.
Exactly.
To make us wait this long.
Exactly.
To put us through all of this.
Exactly.
For over a month.
Yes.
Dunmore is now in the Montgomery County Jail. We'll be on your side following this case as he faces charges in the courtroom. In Charlotte, I'm Nikki Hauser, WBTV, on your side.
All right, everybody. Oh, mercy. Some of us were assuming the worst because of the timeline of events. As we've learned with so many missing person cases, you never know what to expect, what the outcome is going to be. And sadly, this is the worst outcome. We're talking about 3 jurisdictions. An hour and a half away, she was found behind a cemetery. When you look at the area view from the news, it is a desolate area where they have the forensic truck sign on the property of on the land rather, where this young lady was discarded. And the trees in the background where this one young lady was speaking, very tall trees, very wooded, forest looking area. It's scary because that means she went from her house to his house, Montgomery County, and then whatever transpired between the two, he decided to discard her body an hour and a half away. He wanted to make sure she would get gone. Now, some of you are going to question, how did law enforcement find her? I'm going to assume phone data led them to that area. Phone data. I believe they possibly got a search warrant finally for his phone records. And most people are not going to travel that distance without a cell phone. This is how foolish criminals are. They take their phones with them in the commencement of an act and then thereafter. So I'm going to assume his phone data led law enforcement to this burial spot, discardment spot, excuse me. A Caucasian lady is speaking, and she's an older lady, and she asks the question, why? Why did you do this? Well, he did it because he could. That question is asked so many times when people are murdered. Why? Well, the devil says, why not? Because the devil is using people. And you see this so much now with violent crime here in America. You will ask why. He was such a nice guy. She was such a nice guy. He was such a good kid. She was a good kid, teenager, whatsoever. They had dreams, hopes. They were doing this and that. You also hear the lady saying she was helpful in the community. Well, they say the good die young, and I believe that. Don't even get a chance to excel at the greatest, being the greatest they can be, because the devil is lying in wait. And once again, I say this in every live stream pertaining to true crime. You don't know people. Allisha did not know him. I will put a correction in this title because I spelled her name wrong. Forgive me for that. Condolences to the family, first and foremost, and friends and community of North Carolina. Why did he do it? I don't know. In the end, it won't matter because, yes, it was a selfish act. As you heard this lady speaking, I don't know if this is her mother or whomever, but like she said, you kept us waiting and waiting and waiting, and you knew all along where she was, but you're the one that killed her. You could have ended the saga when it began, when people were looking for her, hadn't heard from her. But that was too easy. It's an old saying about doing right. Too easy to do wrong, so I'll make them wait. When he was found in the DMV, I found that strange. So was he comatose, passed out, sick, faking what? I believe he went to the hospital too. Another thing odd, because I'm going to tell you, at that point, I did think he was guilty. I'm just going to go ahead and say it. Person missing and you're in their car, and the person has been missing day for day, in a month. Still no sign of her, still no information about her. You have become a person of interest. But just now in this video, you hear them say he was at the house where she was last seen. So I'm assuming they're saying his house where he was arrested. Because I believe he was standing outside. So I don't know if it looked like other people were standing out there as well. Very interesting. So let me guess, you were playing it up until the very end with her friends and family, pretending you knew nothing, don't know anything. I also noticed when he got out of the police vehicle, he has man breasts. Yes, I'm being cynical because I can. Body fat above the stomach, mimicking a woman. Because this was a bitch move. And that's not to say that females are bitches, but that is what we call a female dog. It's a bitch move. To kill the lady and then discard her an hour and a half away and then lie to law enforcement and friends and family about the whereabouts of Miss Allisha Watts when you knew all along where she was. And I don't know why you killed her. I don't know if you all had an argument or disagreement. She found out something about you. You lied to her, but it wasn't worth taking her life. So yes, it was a cowardly move to murder her, and also cowardly to continue this saga for over a month. Now you have thrown away your entire life over nothing, because I don't even think you two knew each other that long. He has a violent past. You also hear that in this commentary. Accused of kidnapping 3 months before she went missing. Now, this is important. Besides the death of Allisha Watts, of course. Allisha had been messing around with a man. Do not know if she Google searched him or he told her his past. But he's been accused of kidnapping. Who was the person he was accused of kidnapping? Where is she? And will she come forward and give us the rundown on the scenario and the relationship between she and this heathen? Because now we're going to be curious to the circumstances of this violent background. What else has he done violently? Physical abuse and kidnapping can be just holding a person in a room, not necessarily binding them or locking them in a room or space, a tub or a car, just prohibiting him or her from movement. I learned that many years ago in Knoxville when there was a case of a man at a store, what used to be Easttown Mall. He had a disagreement with a customer about a suit. And the law stipulated so long as the person is prohibiting you from movement, which the customer made him stand in a place and not move at gunpoint, that is considered kidnapping. So kidnapping is not necessarily being tied up or bondage or anything. It's just a matter of a person holding you in the spot that you're in and prohibiting you from moving about. That is considered kidnapping. So who is the lady or persons he kidnapped? What are the circumstances? Was he dating that person, messing around with that person? Was it a stranger? Who is this person? Man, woman, child. And as I said, what else has he done? The video says he has a violent past, so I'm wondering if there is more to his past. This is sad to me because, once again, this is just another harrowing story that ended up in murder. And I brought you a short video the other day of a woman who was held hostage in a bedroom with a chain around her neck, with a padlock around her throat, and the chain extending to the floor. And she was able to yell out of a second floor window of this house. And the neighbors called the police, and she was rescued by the grace of God. Amen. And thank God for those neighbors who stepped in and did the right thing. Because a lot of times people argue, fuss, fight, and people do not get involved. They don't knock on the door. They don't go over to see what's going on. They don't call the police. They don't do anything. They just say, oh, well, they're arguing, fussing, big deal. None of my business. And a lot of people have that attitude. I don't get involved. It's not concerning me. It's not concerning my family. I'm not calling the police. And then later, things can also go to court. So once you give a statement in your name, you will possibly be called in for testimony. But I think a lot of people just don't care. I think a lot of people just don't care. And that's a sad thing to have to say about another human being. But a lot of you all are empty out there. And a lot of you may have known of his past, this boyfriend, alleged boyfriend. And you possibly knew he harmed her, Miss Allisha, and you said nothing and you did nothing. And some of you have heard people fighting and fussing. You've heard children being abused in homes, seeing it, and you never said anything. And I watched a story, I believe it was yesterday, I believe it was A&E, where they're looking for a young lady that's missing. She went out hanging with some friends one night. She was 18 years of age, same age as the Queen had she lived. She was born in 71. This happened in 1989, summer 89, same time the Queen was in her first courses in college. And her hanging with her friends led to her missing, and we later find out 30-something years later, her death. The sad part of that story is that two people hold the secret of witnessing her lying on the ground with two guys in the woods. And they never came forward to tell what happened to her. I guess they fear for their safety, because during this commentary, you hear the guy and girl rode up in a car. The guy got out, spoke to one of the guys. One of the guys said, hey, we're looking for this girl. That should have been a red flag for them to run like hell. The guy goes back, gets in the car. He and the girl go back, drive around some more. They're still in this area, which makes no sense to me. They come back upon them, see the girl lying on the ground. Now, his lady friend, girlfriend, she's in the car. But she's witnessing all of this. The guys see he's now witnessed this woman lying on the ground. They start beating him up. So he's able to get away because the girl starts honking the horn. So he jumps in the car and takes off. So he and this girl is holding this secret of first getting out, approaching them. They hold a conversation, the two guys and the one guy. And they let him know that they're looking for a girl. So then he walks off, gets in the car, circles back a little while later, which I don't know what the timeline is, gets out of the car, seeing the girl lying on the ground, and then they attempt to beat him up. And he and this girl are able to escape by car after witnessing the girl on the ground, them beating him up. He's able to jump back in the car and escape. And then he and the girl hold the secret of seeing that girl on the ground who went missing for about 30 years or so. Finally been laid to rest. And you'll hear the father speaking about it in the commentary, saying, it's your children that's supposed to bury you, not you bury your children. Exactly. 18 years snuffed out 2 eyewitnesses besides the 2 people that beat the girl to death and sexually assaulted her. So we're talking about 4 people know of a dead person, and nobody says a damn thing. You see, there's always somebody that knows a secret, such as murder. And that's why I asked this question. Who knew that Allisha Watts was already dead and possibly where she could be found? Because in your mind, you may be thinking, oh, only a fool would tell they killed somebody. Only a fool would tell where they discarded the person. Well, you'd be very surprised when people tell, as we call it, pillow talk. Or I call it pillow talk. You'd be surprised in the moment of intimacy, under the influence of narcotics, drugs, alcohol, a person will confess what he or she has done and or witnessed. And people still will not go and say anything. Why not? Why should the shoe be on the other foot? It's close to your home, your life, and then you go tell. And I get it. They realize these are 2 dangerous guys. We ain't gonna go say anything because they'll probably retaliate, try to hurt us, may get out on bond. And I get that. Because a lot of times, a suspect is able to get a bond from the judge, and then he or she is free. And now you will have to worry about your safety. Because naturally, if they'll kill a girl, they will kill you. That's my commentary pertaining to Allisha Watts. Prayers to the family and friends. When I get an update pertaining to this joker, his next hearing in court, I will bring you that sad information. This is sad to me. Mr. Donald Trump is my next conversation. Mr. Trump and his cohorts have been accused of improprieties down in Georgia, and I'm going to bring you that sad information. ABC News 22 hours ago. This is pertaining to Mr. Trump. Mercy me. How do you go from a president to being arrested for stealing documents, coveting, lying? But this is the man that some of you wanted to be your president. The point is he ever going to be arrested for these said crimes?
Attorney Jeff Robbins for more. Aaron, Trump still has to be arraigned on these charges. So do you think we'll see a similar scene again soon?
We may, right here at the Fulton County Courthouse in 2 weeks' time. That's when the district attorney has proposed arraignments. Unlike many jurisdictions, when the booking and the arraignments happen simultaneously, Trump has yet to formally enter a plea. We can guess it's going to be not guilty, but he may have to do that on the week of September 5th. Whether that's in person, whether it's virtual, whether his appearance is waived and his attorneys do it, the judge still has to weigh in on that. But the intent by the district attorney is to have all 19 defendants here at the courthouse that week of September 5th.
Jeff, the DA wants to try all of these defendants together. What could that look like?
It could look like a mess. I mean, what we do not see in public is the pandemonium that reigns behind the curtain on the defendant's side, where in the case, for example, of former President Trump, he's got to deal with, and his legal team has to deal with, 18 co-defendants. God knows how many unindicted co-conspirators who ardently wish not to become indicted co-conspirators. The evidence that is pouring over or will pour over in the form of tapes and grand jury testimony and texts and all the rest of it. And then dealing with these scheduling issues. Where some defendants may want to go one way, other defendants may want to go another way. It is pandemonium, as I say, and the burden on this new legal team that Trump has assembled can't be understated.
Jeff, Trump says he did nothing wrong. How do you expect his team to defend these charges at court?
With great difficulty, because trying to counter the volume of evidence that the DA's office has amassed over, 2 years of investigating this, without an ability, in effect, for the former president to directly challenge anything that was said, assuming there was a defense. He's not going to take the stand, because if he took the stand, it would be Custer's last stand. He would be ripped to shreds. So he's got to figure out a way to refute all this evidence without him taking the stand, without others taking the stand in his defense.
So, Aaron, what does Trump's legal calendar look like now with these 4 separate cases in play?
Oh, they're all bumping into each other. He has a potential civil trial starting in October, another one in January, a potential criminal trial in January, more here, the special counsel case, and all the legal and political calendars are colliding. And his legal defense is his political campaign. So it's merging in ways that the American public has never seen.
All right, Jeffrey Robbins, Aaron Katersky, thank you both.
All right, ABC News is the source. The former president had his mugshot taken, was fingerprinted and given an inmate number. He has many charges looming from one jurisdiction to the other. And I think it's sickening that these special counsels have waited until after he, booted out, was not voted for, to bring forward these charges. You all had an idea of Mr. Trump's indiscretions. So why now? Will he be found guilty in these jurisdictions for the crimes of the documents being taken out of the White House, plus this voting mess down in Georgia? NBC News is my next source. All Trump co-defendants have surrendered in Georgia. When you look at the mugshots, a few of the men all are frowning, some of them. Some of them are smiling, but Mr. Trump is looking serious, such as, "You're fired, you're fired, you're fired." That's the title of my community page video, Mr. Trump. His mugshot. "You're fired." His famous words when he was a reality TV star. And that's what I'm saying to Mr. Trump today. You're fired. You've been fired. See, to me, you were fired when you became president. Because you have a nasty attitude and disposition. And the fact that you're near 80 years of age means you were this person before running for the presidency. Because you don't get to this age at the time of running, which you've been about near 70, and then just wake up and be a vile human being. You were that person before. Many of us had no idea because we only knew of you as a real estate tycoon and doing the reality TV show. But it's amazing what comes out thereafter about people when you start hearing ugly stories of groping, affairs, not paying your workers, the fraud with the college, the Trump college, so many allegations, and yet he was still walking around free before running for president. See, that's where I have the problem. There were things he was doing that was illegal and wrong beforehand, and he was free. The fact that allegedly he never paid taxes, still walking around free. The average person walking around owing $10,000, $15,000, they go to jail for a couple of years for not paying their taxes. Regular civilians. Why not Mr. Trump? See, I have a problem with this. And Americans should have a problem with it. And sadly, a lot of people think like Mr. Trump. They have the same arrogant, self-entitlement attitude, and that's why they voted for him in the first place. When they heard the allegations about Stormy Daniels and so on and so forth, you still voted for him anyway. Why? And I don't want to hear that bullshit about sins and other people in the White House doing wrong and Biden's son and all that. Biden's son has nothing to do with what happened years ago. What's going on with Mr. Biden's son right now has nothing to do with Mr. Trump, because that's not the subject. Biden's son, he's not a president. He's not a vice president. Whatever he did, that's on him. And I hate that tit for tat attitude. This is why I know a lot of people, as I say, are just 1 minute from becoming a news story. Because you like to compare things that don't have anything to do with the subject at hand. Somebody's doing something wrong over here. You want to go talk about what somebody else's sister or brother did. What does that have to do with this person? Nothing. And that's the point of this story. These people have been caught with their hand in the cookie jar. So what somebody else did over here politically, what does it have to do with what they did? Opposing political affiliations. I don't do that tit for tat. I judge the person according to what he or she did at that time. I don't judge what their sister or mother did 5 years ago, and it has nothing to do with them or the next person. So here we go. NBC News is the source. I sure did. Anything else you'd like to know? What about who you voted for?
Extraordinary and historic surrender at a jail in Atlanta. The former president arrested last night for his alleged efforts to overturn the 2020 election in Georgia. It is the fourth time this year that Mr. Trump has turned himself in to face criminal charges.
This time was different, though. This time he had his mugshot taken, a first for a former American president. The booking process lasted about 20 minutes, and Mr. Trump was released on a $200,000 bond. But before heading back home to New Jersey, Trump spoke to reporters on the airport tarmac and again insisted that he did nothing wrong.
What has taken place here is a travesty of justice. We did nothing wrong. I did nothing wrong. And everybody knows it. I've never had such support. And that goes with the other ones, too. What they're doing is election interference. They're trying to interfere with an election.
We have team coverage from all angles. In just a moment, we're going to get perspective from NBC.
I find that funny. He says they are trying to interfere with an election. Well, they're accusing you of interfering with an election that already took place. So you're not making any sense. See, this is what happens when you lie. And you lie so much, you don't even think before speaking. You're accusing the government of what you've already done. That makes no sense. But when you lie so much, you don't think before speaking. Mr. Trump never thinks. That's his problem. He just talks. I never knew he talked until he ran for United States presidency. I didn't even know he could talk. And I was really dumbfounded to hear him speak so much while running and then being, becoming the president and all the ignorant comments he's made over the years. And then after being the president, he still won't stop talking, on Twitter. And whenever people don't even want you on an app speaking, that means you need to stop talking. You're entitled to free speech, but if your free speech is damaging to others, it is borderline and or inducing violence, racism, then no, you do not need a public platform. See, what some of you don't understand, especially a lot of you who are white, you don't get it. Donald Trump doesn't give a fuck about you. How about that? He doesn't care about you. He doesn't care about anybody. He doesn't care about his own family. And that's what amazes me about people chasing in behind Mr. Trump. This man would walk over you if you were lying on the road bleeding to death. And somehow in your sick mind, you think he cares about you, the American person, people, civilians. He does not. So whether you are Jew, Arab, Muslim, African-American, Caucasian, Hispanic, foreigner, you chasing in behind Mr. Trump is a waste of time because Mr. Trump doesn't care for self. You see, self is number one. And when you don't care about yourself and you don't think about your own image, you don't think about your own tongue, then how in the world could you care about me? You couldn't, because you don't. You don't care about yourself. And a lot of people don't realize that. Even today, with this man being out of office, people are still rooting for him, talking about him endlessly. Why? I do not know. And another thing I'm sick of are people just randomly, every time they have a problem with the world, first thing you always say is the Democrats, Biden and this and Biden and his son and this person and all that. What does it have to do with anything? You had a bad day today. Somebody gave you the wrong coffee at Starbucks. It's a Democrat's fault. Biden did it. Biden made the machine. I've never seen such ignorance in all my life. Anytime something goes wrong, it's Biden's fault. It's a Democrat's fault. If Biden wasn't in office, you still, something you'd be blaming the person so long as they're a Democrat. It's a problem. Why can't you just take responsibility for yourself? Or stop blaming others for things that go bump in the night. I don't understand that. That's very strange to me. But I tell people this is how you know how sick the world is. And these people will walk around thinking they're right fighters, they're for justice in this country when they are not. Because the fact that you think it's okay to do tit for tat every time something goes bump in the night, you want to blame an opposing political affiliation, that means you're sick. Because right now, if something happens in my neighborhood, I don't blame a Republican for what happened. I blame the person that did it. I don't know if the person is a Democrat, a Republican, or they have no political affiliation. But I don't think of Biden and I don't think of anybody else. I think of that person. That's what I'm going to say. That person did that. I'm not going to say, oh, he must be a Republican, that's why he did it. I don't think like that. Because that's ignorant people talk. Let's finish this mess.
Have team coverage from all angles. In just a moment, we're going to get perspective from NBC News presidential historian Michael Beschloss. But first to NBC News senior White House correspondent Gabe Gutierrez, who's been following this live from Atlanta. Gabe, first, what about those other 18 co-defendants? We've been focusing on the former president, but have those co-defendants all surrendered?
Hi there, Vicki. Well, it has been a very busy morning here at the Fulton County Jail. Just within the past few minutes, one of those other defendants was released on a $75,000 bond, while the last one to turn himself in, Reverend Stephen Lee from suburban Chicago, accused of intimidating an election worker. We briefly spoke with his attorney as he came out of here, and his attorney said that he denied the charges. You see right there on your screen the mugshots. All of the defendants in this case have just turned themselves in. They have been booked and processed.
One black man
have actually
and a black woman. Wow.
And this comes after an incredible sweeping indictment. And again, all 19 of them have surrendered at this point. And right now, this was the deadline that the district attorney had set out, noon on Friday, when they all had to turn themselves in or face arrest. Vicki Morgan.
Gabe, tell us where the case goes from here. Any idea of a timeline? We know there are a lot of conflicting opinions on when this should all happen.
That's right. There were a lot of breaking details on that yesterday as well. And this is so complicated, Vic. You just saw how many defendants there are right there. Well, at least a few of them, one of them at this point has requested a speedy trial. And just yesterday, a judge granted that for one of former President Trump's attorneys, Kenneth Chesebro. That trial now set for, get this, October 23rd. That is less than 2 months from now. Still, legal experts question whether that's even possible. But Trump's legal team, of course, has been saying that this case needs to go on much longer. They've asked for a trial date of 2026, quite a long time from now.
Hell no, hell no.
Proposed March next year. So still a lot of questions on how this is all going to play out. But Vicki and Morgan, this speaks to just how unwieldy this whole process has become. This complicated, sweeping indictment of 19 defendants. It's anyone's guess when they will all finally go to trial. But again, one of them, the first one, could go as early as October 23rd, less than 2 months from now.
NBC News. 18 co-defendants. 2 African Americans are in the lineup in the mugshots of black female smiling, cheesing like she's taking a picture at the DMV. A black man, bald-headed. What are you all's problems? Now, you're entitled to vote how you want. I don't really care how people vote. That's your damn business. But when I'm an eyewitness to racism and inciting violence by any person, I'm going to wonder what the hell is wrong with anybody following in behind them. So as I said, whether you're white, Jew, Arab, whomever, I'm questioning your mental state. And these 2 black people, I'm black, so I'm going to say it. What the hell is wrong with you 2? Why would anyone be trying to coerce an election official to do what exactly? Do what? Jimmy the Machines? What? It's all mechanical, most of it. You push a button. You don't scribble in a circle on a form like you do when you're taking a test in high school. So I'm trying to figure out, what is it that Mr. Cheese, was it Mr. Chesebro? Oh, he's a lawyer. The other guy. Getting them confused. What? I'm confused. What is it you were trying to coerce a person in doing? To do what? To do what exactly? I definitely would like to know the allegation. See, this is when you know a person is sick. You think you coercing this one person to do something at the election polls was going to counteract thousands of people voting in the United States, 50 states now. Very sad to me. All because you are following behind this blockhead. Well, let me coerce this person to do this and do this to help get him elected. That means you're sick. Those people have a right to vote for whomever they want to vote for, and you have no right to coerce anybody into jimmying or trying to alter their votes. And you know that's illegal. And the fact that you would even attempt, it's sad. It's sickening and it's sad. But this is what the world we live in. And these will be the same type of people, all these defendants, who would say, I'm a right fighter. I believe in justice. I believe in the law of the land. No, you don't. You can't say you believe in the law and justice when you're bribing somebody or trying to coerce somebody to break the law. You shouldn't even be thinking about tinkering with government machines, voting machines, or paperwork, or however it went. Because I don't know exactly what some of these people did. But the point is, somebody's speaking, somebody's talking, somebody's told on you. And one person wants a speedy trial. That's Mr. Cheesebro, one of his attorneys. Why? That leads me to believe he's possibly going to maybe plead guilty. Get it over with. They've caught me. I'm not going to sit here and try to fight it. I'm just going to tell them what I did. I'll tell them who else is involved and did something and get it over with. I got a family. I got an image to maintain. It's already tarnished now. I've been arrested. Just go and get it over with. Will Mr. Cheesebro, the one who's wanting a speedy trial, will he plead guilty and or ask for a plea bargain? The fact that some of these defendants want a trial to start in 2026, why would you want to prolong the inevitable? I would not. I would not. And I would be very worried about 12 members of a jury listening to these cases, especially juries in red states. Yes, I want to say that. Predominantly white areas. And it's only high population of African-American people in North Georgia. You start going on down to the middle and the bottom, that's white America. And most of them are probably people who have voted for Mr. Trump. So I'd like to, as I said, I'd be very leery of a 12-member panel hearing the cases unless some of these people decide they want a bench trial or they're going to take a plea. I don't know. We will see. But 18 people, that's a lot of people. And as I said, the fact that you would even think of bribing, coercing a person to tamper with a vote, with voting paperwork, or whatever it is you're trying to do, is very sickening because you're now altering people's votes and you don't have the right to do that. Everyone's entitled to their rights to vote. They've been given the opportunity to vote, and you have no right tampering with their votes. And that's going to lead people to wonder about many elections since this information has come to light. That's my information on Mr. Trump and his cohorts. And our the ex-New York lawyer / mayor, Mr. Giuliani, is also in the lineup. How about that? Now, what do the New Yorkers think of that? Imagine that. Oh, mercy, mercy. Next conversation is about R. Kelly and the singer Lizzo. R. Kelly victims to get money from music royalties. CBS Chicago is the source. Thank you for joining me.
Singer R. Kelly must now pay out $500,000 in music royalties. The money will go to Kelly's sex abuse victims. The singer, as you know, is serving 30 years in prison for racketeering and sex trafficking. A judge in New York ordered Kelly and the Universal Group to pay the money to satisfy victims' restitution and unpaid fines. Court documents say Universal Music Group has 10 days to transfer the money for payouts.
10 days for the payouts. So, this is what I posed on my community board. Should these victims get more money? I don't know what's the total of the victims who have sued R. Kelly and his estate, but $500,000 is to be paid in restitution to these victims. I'm going to bring you a little information on that. Very interesting. Should it be more? I asked that question on my community board, and I'm going to read that poll to you after I bring you this information. Lordy me, it's always something. And thank you all for taking the polls and your kind commentary to the Queen. With her new specs, I decided to get a lighter color in eyewear, something a little bit different. Thank you all so much. Bloomberg.com is the source. R. Kelly's royalties of more than $500,000 held by Universal Music Group, NV, must be turned over to his sexual abuse victims, a U.S. judge ruled. U.S. District Judge Ann Donnelly in Brooklyn, New York. And this is the person who oversaw his case in New York, which got him to 30 years. Signed an order one second. My article is jumping. Don't tell me they're not going to let me read this article. One second. I don't know what's, well, having an issue. A lot of these articles don't want you to read unless you, oh, hold on one second. Let me find something else because this one's having difficulties for some reason. I think it's like $600,000. Hello, everybody in the chat. Thank you for joining me. Okay. I had to pull up something else because that Bloomberg was wanting me to sign up. Kelly is serving a 31-year sentence in federal prison following convictions on child pornography, sex trafficking, and racketeering charges in two separate federal trials in Chicago and New York. On Wednesday, a federal judge in New York ordered Kelly and Universal Music Group to pay $507,000 in royalties being held by the record label to cover the remaining balance of the restitution he was ordered to pay to his victims. So it says the remaining. Very interesting. The remaining balance. According to court documents, Universal Music Group has 10 days to transfer the money. Okay. So $507,000. Wow. So the question I asked on my community page is how much was enough for the victims? As I said, I do not know how many victims there are that were suing R. Kelly. So let's go and see what you all said on the poll. How much money should be awarded to each R. Kelly accuser? Under $100,000, 17% of you voted. Over 100,000, 26% of you voted. I put 1 million plus, 57% of you voted out of 23 votes. So 57% of you believe the victim should be paid each $1 million plus. R. Kelly's music royalties have been awarded to his accusers, nearly $600,000. I'm gonna have to change that to 500,000. Is this enough, or will there be more given to each? Should there be more? 47% of you said yes, that is enough money. Not enough, more awarded, 53%, 17 votes. So basically, it's neck to neck, both polls. $1 million plus at 57%, believing that the accuser should get $1 million or more, and 53% of you voted on the other poll that $500,000 was not enough to give to the victims. Very interesting. I also asked you about Mr. Trump. Will he serve time for his latest charges? 14% of you said yes. 86% of you said no out of 49 votes. One person commented, which was Linda Mabry. I hope he do. He needs to, because it would have, if it had been anybody else, they would have been in jail. And I agree with that. If it was anybody else. Exactly. I'm going to read you some of these at the end of this broadcast pertaining to the polls and your commentary on the polls. So R. Kelly and the Universal Group have awarded accusers of $507,000. I do not know if this is the end of the lawsuits by any other persons or females or males against Mr. R. Kelly. As most of you know, he's received 30 plus years in prison. He still has other jurisdictions to stand trial for nefarious behavior. Michigan, I believe he has to go to Michigan. He also has upcoming trial and allegations in Minnesota, and I believe there's somewhere else. And I also should ask, is 30 years enough? Should the other jurisdictions just squash their allegations, suits, civil suits, crimes against Mr. Kelly, since he now has a 30-year sentence coming out of New York? That will be the next poll I will post to my community page. Thank you for joining me. Lizzo, she now joins the ranks of improprieties being alleged against her from her dancers, subjecting the young ladies to cruelty and a hostile environment by her nasty attitude and one of her dance instructors and managers, and also a sexual environment that they weren't in cahoots with. The gist of the story is that she's paid the dancers, but now she's countersuing, which makes no sense. I'm not going to give you money and then countersue. How are you going to countersue after you've paid the dancers, Lizzo? You obviously don't have good representation, because a good lawyer would tell you to, one, keep your mouth closed and let them handle your dirty business. Let's get down to business pertaining to Miss Lizzo. I don't know what the hell's going on with this chick. Something wrong with her, because I've never heard of anybody paying people money and then sue them, countersue them, because she acts like she was forced to pay the money. It's a difference if the government garnished her wages for whatever reason, or you were sued and the wages were garnished, or there was a verdict in a trial that said you owe these people money. Now you have to pay them funds, restitution, whatever, or a civil suit against you, and then people won. Then I can see you countersuing. But this makes no sense to just get allegations against you, pay the people, and then now say, I want to countersue them. I never heard of such. I don't know where this girl is from. It makes me wonder if there's some truth to these allegations. ABC News is the source. This is weird business.
Shade.
Sorry about that. Oh, Lordy. It's always a mess with these musicians. Every day it's something with them. If it's not the rappers, it's somebody in the entertainment business. Actor, producer, director.
Countersuit for malicious prosecution. And do you think this countersuit by Lizzo would hold up in court?
Well, good morning. So malicious prosecution is when you sue someone saying that they knowingly and maliciously put out baseless claims against you. You can do it against a prosecutor if you're charged criminally, but you can also do it in a civil matter. What they've got to show is that there was an unreasonable grounds to bring these claims, and you did it maliciously. Typically, though, you've got to wait until the end of that prior proceeding, meaning Lizzo may have to wait until this case against her for all the different forms of discrimination are ended in her favor. But she can ask for claims like damage to reputation and loss of future earnings. In terms of how strong it will be, it's really going to hinge on how this initial case ends for her and what these plaintiffs in the first case knew about her when they were making those claims.
Kelly, we saw you speaking to some of the dancers about Lizzo's response. What else did they tell you?
Yeah, essentially they said that while, you might see photos of them happy with Lizzo, that they felt that they had to do this in order to continue being booked for a tour or to get those coveted kind of one-off dance spots. This is a situation where they're not unionized, and so they felt like in order to be in good favor, they had to show up even in places where they felt uncomfortable. And I think really another strong point that they made is, change this to another workplace environment. Let's say this is an accounting firm instead. Like, will we find some of the behaviors that they are alleging against her incredulous?
Brian, 6 months before this lawsuit, 14 other dancers who appeared in the HBO documentary settled a dispute over payments, according to the LA Times. Could this earlier settlement affect Lizzo in this new case?
I don't think it's going to affect Lizzo from a legal standpoint because these 14 individuals who had a settlement, to my understanding, are different than the women who are making these new allegations. Now, that settlement was done, my understanding, that of the 14 of them, they got anywhere from $7,000 to $7,500 for about just shy of $110,000 in total. And so I think this was more of a business dispute in terms of using private discussions backstage without giving these individuals a proper payment or even notice that they were doing that. It's very different than the harassment, discrimination allegations that are being made. But in a court of public opinion, I think this could change how people view Lizzo.
Kelly, Lizzo is known for her positivity. So how do you think this all plays into her reputation right now?
It's definitely stinging her reputation. Lizzo, like you said, she's known for her positivity and also specifically body positivity and supporting women who don't look like what, images have told the rest of the world that women are supposed to look like. And I think that really is ultimately what the dancers were probably say that they were most shocked by and surprised by, is that they thought that this was going to be a unique experience for them because unlike perhaps dancing in other places, they didn't have to feel ashamed of what they look like, what their bodies look like. And I think that message really was delivered once they filed this lawsuit against Lizzo. And, certainly we've seen some fan backlash because of that.
Brian, what do you think happens next in this case?
It's discovery, or in other words, show me the receipts. I think both sides now have come to the table with an initial claim, and now a countersuit is coming. And so it's going to come down to the depositions. Who said what? Who saw what? Yes, the Lizzo camp was already fired back with some of these photos, but as Kelly said, and some of the women said to her, it's one thing to pose for a photo and look happy and smiling. It's another thing with how you operate on a daily basis. And so those depositions and what was said behind closed door and how people felt and how people responded to Lizzo's statements and that of her company, that's what we're going to find out next. And that's going to be the beginning, moving towards either a settlement for Lizzo or potentially a trial.
All right, Kelly Carter, Brian Buckmeyer, thank you both.
All right, ABC News is the source. So let me clarify my title. So I believe I'm going to have to go in and change it. Lizzo paid some dancers before this current lawsuit a payout of about $7,000 or so for non-payment. So let me make that clear. Before this current lawsuit came of the harassment, some other dancers accused her of not paying them their monies to dance, to perform. And as you hear in this commentary, will this affect this current lawsuit of harassment by these 3 or more people who are suing her? Because some other people, I think, are also going to be on the lawsuit. Yes, I say it will matter to some degree, because what somebody's going to say is she doesn't have a good work ethic. What she says out her mouth is not who she is. And I'm going to ask that question as well. Is she portraying herself to be something that she's not? Because you can't hire people to do a job for you and then you don't want to pay them. Now here comes, months later, lawsuits that you mistreated the people, weight, shame. One of your managers or your dance team put out somebody's personal business about them being a virgin. She kept bringing it up in private conversations and interviews. Why a person would do that makes no sense. They also felt like the white Europeans of that other company that's affiliated with Lizzo criticized them and made accusations that they were lazy and didn't favor them over the non-black dancers. It just goes on and on and on. And then the issue of what happened in Amsterdam at that club, her wanting the dancers to touch other performers and eat bananas out of vaginas, and then the issue with the security guy. She had him allegedly go up on stage and do certain things. See, all this is bullshit to me, because guess what? A sane person is going to say, when you felt uncomfortable in your work environment with her, you should have bailed out. So now we have to ask, were you under contract? Did you have a signed contract as a dancer? Allegations also being fired for inappropriate behavior, and now this BS of her countersuing them. So now I have to backtrack my own statements. The people that she is countersuing, Lizzo, are the current people who have a lawsuit against her. Well, naturally, you're not going to get any money for them because they don't make any money. So Lizzo is countersuing the current ladies who are suing her for harassment and other ill behavior. The people she has paid out monies to were people who didn't get money from dancing from her. So make sure I clarify that in this live stream. Let's read the information about her countersuing the ones who are suing her currently. TMZ has information that says Lizzo plans to sue backup dancers. Photos show accusers backstage at topless show. Let's hear what they have to say at TMZ. Lord have mercy, it just goes on and on.
Take legal action against them as this whole thing plays out. And the legal action she wants to take is suing them for malicious prosecution.
We will get into the snag there, but let's get into a new video.
Hello, lady.
Because Lizzo's legal team believes that these photos and video you're about to see prove that the backup dancers who are suing, all 3 of them you're going to see are in the group. This is all of the big girls. That's her dance troupe. And
those are the 3 women who were suing.
And they were at the Crazy Horse in Paris. In fact, in their lawsuit, they make reference, as they put it, being forced to go to this show at Crazy Horse, which, if you don't know, is a burlesque show, a very famous burlesque show in Paris. So this was them after the show, and you're going to see, in particular, one of the women who's suing is right up front. Listen to, I guess Lizzo's team would say, their excitement at being at the show. Now, Lizzo's lawyers say that they certainly don't seem like people who are forced to be at this show. And I guess their side of it would be that even if they felt forced to go to the show, why would they be so excited to do this video?
Their position is, look, our boss wanted us to go to this, and they're saying we were uncomfortable, but we had to put on this face. The problem with that argument is you could say that about every interaction that looks positive on the surface. And sometimes a cigar really is just a cigar, and they might really be just
a banana.
Or a banana. But I mean, in this case, they could actually be happy. I mean, and that's what a jury is going to have to decide when they start looking at this. We showed you video 4 months, shot 4 months before they filed this lawsuit, where one of them is just singing Lizzo's praises. And, you know, at a point, is a jury going to say they're always kind of held hostage off camera there? Or are they changing their tune because they ended up getting fired? And I think that's going to be the rub there.
Yeah, I think you're undoubtedly right that these pictures and these videos are helpful to Lizzo's defense at a minimum. They do show the women having fun, reveling, sort of carousing, but power dynamics can be tricky, and it's possible that the women's lawyers will be successful in saying, you have to sort of put on this show, you have to look like you're having fun, or else we were worried that we might lose our jobs. I think it makes his job more difficult to prove that out when you see these videos.
Hard for a jury when you see like excitement and happiness and everything else, but they may do it.
I know, but their point, the dancers' point, is going to be, yeah, we had to be smiling. There's the same reason we felt we had to go to the show is the same reason we felt that when the camera was on us, we had to do this smiling. And
yeah, that's the argument. But then you could say that about every single interaction, that it's not real. It's not what you think. And sometimes
it does create an issue where if you're the boss, then you know that any interaction with your employees outside of just being in the office, and certainly when you're in the office, but even outside of the office, becomes problematic, potentially.
Well, right? It does. Now, I just want to say something about this malicious prosecution, the threat of a threat.
They can only do that.
You can only do that if she prevails in the lawsuit the dancers have filed against her. That's number one. And number two, and this is the even harder part, is that you have to prove that the lawsuit was motivated solely by malice. And even if there's anything that's remotely legit, even if they lose, you can't win in a malicious prosecution lawsuit. So that is an uphill climb for Lizzo.
Hello, my name is Allisha. I'm the CEO from Los Angeles. And my opinion to this is, I think all of it is sort of reality, you know. They were half forced, they half enjoyed it, and so on and on and on. So I guess it will be settled outside of court, and money will be, you know, part of the deal, and that's it. But the thing is, if you're in a position like she is, you shouldn't even go to such a burlesque show or whatever, you know, not to get into such a situation.
Exactly. I agree with that.
You know, and so, yeah, if she had avoided all of that, then we wouldn't be talking about it right now.
And I guess that's the lesson, that even if Lizzo wins, the lawsuit doesn't end up paying any money, I think she's certainly learned a lesson about what she's going to do with
what the barriers are with socializing and working.
Exactly. Right. TMZ is the source, everybody. Uploaded one day ago. Exactly. I agree with this guest commentary. Don't put yourself in a situation to have to be sued, especially in a burlesque show, because you don't know what can jump off, what can be said. Somebody at the show could have brought a lawsuit, not necessarily her own dancers, but somebody there, a visitor, a dancer. I think too much was going on. Now, they're claiming that this is who she is. She's open sexually. I don't know what that means by open, but the point is, sometimes it's best to keep certain things under wraps. What you think may be good for your dancers, your image is not. And as they say, just because you see people smiling in pictures does not mean they're happy. Yeah, this may look good for the defense. Oh, they're smiling, they're happy. But you got to ask yourself, when was the video taken? Was the video taken before they went on stage with the performers or afterwards? See, the girls can say, oh, we took this video when we first walked into the establishment to let everybody know we were at the burlesque show. We hadn't gotten entangled with the dancers yet. The show hadn't started yet. We just got there and we took this quick video. See, that's the thing about a video. You got to show from start to finish. So showing some people laughing and having a good time, you got to ask the sequence of the video. Was this at the beginning when they first walked into the place? Or was this after they did the performance with the other performers at the burlesque show? Because this could be when they first got there. And then once they started seeing what was going on in the burlesque show, maybe some of the girls weren't in cahoots, but they rode the ride because they were there. I personally feel like once you got there, and you saw what the performers started doing, if you weren't in cahoots, maybe you should have coughed your way on out of there. But see, I don't know if the girls were on a stage, were invited up on the stage, because that would be kind of embarrassing to be invited on the stage with the performers. Then you start seeing what the performers are doing and you're not in cahoots. Yeah, it will be a bit awkward to just storm off the stage or even just quietly walk off. People in the audience will be looking. People in the club will be looking like, okay, what's going on here? Uh-oh, this is embarrassing. And then people would start talking. Oh, my gosh, the dancers for Lizzo, they walked off the stage. Guess they didn't like what was going on or what they were saying. So then that would be negative hype. So maybe that's what the ladies mean. We just went with the flow. And we see this all the time with jobs. People talk, smile at their jobs, on their jobs. It doesn't mean they like their boss. Doesn't mean the boss likes them. Doesn't mean employees get along with each other. You do what you have to do to keep your job. But see, I always say there's a price to pay for pretending to be happy somewhere. It doesn't work because eventually it affects your health. So you're going to work every day, putting up with a bunch of scrutiny, criticism, bullying, whatever. In the end, you're the one that's miserable. They're getting a jolt out of, effing with you on your job. And you're the one upset, high blood pressure, stomach aching, upset. So who's the biggest loser? Bow out. Bow out. Just bow out. Allegations that the girls bringing forth the lawsuit because they were fired. Is that true? Okay, I'm upset. She's fired me. Now let me retaliate with the lawsuit. See, there's so many different allegations, you don't even know what to believe. You have old allegations of her not paying her other dancers, which has nothing to do with this current lawsuit. She paid them. Now this new lawsuit is of some women who are obviously fired, 2 or more, and fat shaming, telling personal business, and this show that took place in Amsterdam and Paris. So this video that they just showed, I believe, is in Paris. So yes, 12 members of a jury can judge that and say, well, you were so disgusted in Amsterdam with the bananas and the vajayjays and the touching of the performers. Why would you then go to the show in Paris? But one could say, as you heard in this commentary, we did what we needed to do to keep the job. We need money. We got bills. But as I always say, who will be the biggest loser? Because she can always hire more dancers. But if you are not content with your position there with her and how you're being treated by staff and the production companies and Miss Lizzo, then you're going to have a problem. Oh my goodness, it just goes on and on. Let me bring you a little bit more commentary, then I'm going to check out of here. The Guardian, this is what I was trying to bring up, but it won't let me bring it up. Basically, they're saying that the singer resolved complaint by dancers who appeared in the HBO film shortly before different dancers accused her of sexual, racial, and religious harassment. So she had dancers in an HBO film, and I believe that was for non-payment. And it says, months before a lawsuit claiming that Lizzo subjected dancers to sexual harassment and weight shaming, which she denies, her team settled a payment dispute with 14 different dancers who say they appeared in the U.S. Musicians 2022 HBO Max documentary, Love, Lizzo Without Their Consent, according to the Los Angeles Times. It's very interesting. So they appeared in a video documentary without their consent. The The documentary shows a group of dancers who discuss being plus size and Black women during rehearsals for Lizzo's performance at the 2019 MTV Video Music Awards VMAs. "You can't let nobody see you sweat," one dancer says as her colleagues nod and wipe tears from their eyes. "You have to be 3 times better than. It's not 2 times, it's 3 times. You know what I mean." The dancers said they were filmed without their knowledge and weren't remunerated for their appearance. Lord Jesus. On January 17th this year, their manager emailed Alan Brunswick, a lawyer for the documentary, co-producer Boardwalk Pictures, saying, "After seeing all of the videos, I'm sure you realize how sensitive and private the dialogue was for the talent involved. This was supposed to be a safe space to express and share with the principal talent, Lizzo. So by sharing this unauthorized footage to the public without their approval, permissions, has truly eluded these women and violated emotional safety they had in those moments." While the dancers worked under a union contract allowing them to be filmed at the VMAs, they were not presented with the contract for behind-the-scenes footage that appeared in the documentary. Brunswick told the LA Times that all footage was captured openly and with consent. "They all knew the cameras were there. I don't think the documentary was even contemplated at that point." A lawyer for Lizzo, Martin Singer, said Lizzo had nothing to do with it and knew nothing about it. After one dancer sought legal assistance to proceed with their claims, Boardwalk Pictures, an entity representing Lizzo, real name Melissa Jefferson, and other parties signed confidential settlements with the dancers in February. They released their rights to the footage and were paid between $7,092 and $7,545 for their appearances, resulting in a total payout of $109,551, and had to sign non-disparagement and confidentiality clauses, preventing the dancers from discussing the settlement with third parties. So how did y'all get that number out? I'm curious. Earlier this month, Lizzo was accused by 3 different dancers of sexual harassment, of creating a hostile work environment through sexual, racial, and religious harassment in several incidents between 21 and 23. The dancers also alleged that Lizzo, known as an advocate for body positivity and self-love, criticized a dancer's weight gain and later berated, then fired the dancer for recording a meeting. Lizzo denied the allegations, calling them sensationalized stories and saying that she was only speaking out because these false allegations were as unbelievable as they sound and too outrageous not to be addressed. This week, the singer told The Independent that Lizzo intends to countersue for malicious prosecution after she prevails, and these specious claims are dismissed, and called the lawsuit a sham. I hope you appreciated this article. Now, they're asking, before you move on, consider taking a step of supporting The Guardian journalism, so on and so forth. They want you to donate, of course, to this. TheGuardian.com is the source. Oh, wow, what a mess. So before these young ladies came forward with a lawsuit of harassment, different types of harassment, she paid out 14 dancers, she and a company affiliated with her, for non-payment of using the girls' conversations in a documentary. And then they're saying, well, we didn't even know we were going to make a documentary. But the point is, once you decided to make the documentary, you know you were supposed to pay the ladies their monies. That's the way it goes. They said they were under contract for the VMAs, but not the footage in the documentary. And Lizzo, anybody using your image, you know they have to get your permission. So you also would know that the ladies behind you in any other footage using anything affiliated with you, you would need their permission. Now, you're saying that the girls saw cameras running around while they were sweating and talking about their lives, blah, blah, blah. They had to have known that what? The cameras were there for a reason. But then you should have said, these people are filming your lives and my life as dancer, singer. It will possibly be used at some point. In common sense, the ladies would say, well, we need our money since you got the cameras rolling. I don't know. I don't know if she told the ladies anything because I wasn't there. But basically what she's saying is they saw the cameras, so they consented in being filmed. But then the flip side of that could be, well, you filmed me talking, but I never saw where the footage went until now, until, after the fact. And you didn't pay me. So maybe she thought, well, I'm the singer. It's about me. That woe is me BS. I'm the center stage. I'm the star. I don't have to tell you anything, and I don't have to pay you either. I think Lizzo needs to take a good look at herself. Because what you have to understand about being sued, whether allegations are true or not, is you have to have some self-reflection. And at this point, she needs to have self-reflection from the allegations from the 14 dancers of you not paying them money to have them in the documentary, which you knew you should have paid them immediately before they found out they were in the documentary and didn't know it. You should have been on radar after that. Any ill conversations, discussions with dancers, any interactions between the dancers and your lead team, production companies, your dance instructors, whatever. You should start nipping stuff in the bud when you started hearing negative stuff. And you also need to check yourself for any negative conversations you have with any of the ladies, as not to end up where you are now, being sued. And at the time when people are upset and ranting and raving, you don't think somebody's going to sue you. You fire somebody, you think that's the end of it. But you're a famous person. You're not a regular person firing someone. You're not the manager at McDonald's firing somebody over something petty. You have money. You have more money than the average person. So any ill conversation, accusation, you belittling somebody, hell yeah, they can sue you because you have money. Poor people don't sue poor people. Think about it. You're not a poor person. Hello, hippie. You're acting like you're a regular civilian. You are no longer a regular civilian. Once you start making money in the hundreds of thousands up to $1 million plus, you are not a regular person. So you have to be aware of your surroundings, how you talk to people, how you treat people, because you will be subject to scrutiny and, worst case scenario, sued. As this young man said in this commentary with TMZ. Don't put yourself in a situation to where you have to be sued. The burlesque show, maybe you shouldn't have taken the girls there. I agree with that. Because you're now going to have to be responsible for everybody in the room in a place that's foreign to you. You don't know the people. You don't know what your dancers could have gotten into in the room, bathroom. You got to think. And in the end, this is your reputation on the line, your image. So something could happen with one of the dancers with somebody else outside the club or in a private room. Oh, they touched me inappropriately. They assaulted me, whatever. Now, you see what I'm saying? Here's some new BS. So you're lucky that you didn't get a lawsuit from an outsider that was at the damn burlesque club in Paris or Amsterdam. That's why you need to think. And what I want to know, did these girls say something to Lizzo about the Amsterdam trip before going to the Paris show? Because that's what's weighing on the line that looks suspicious on the dancers who are bringing forward the lawsuit. You all are claiming that improprieties happened at the show in Amsterdam, but yet now we have this video of you all in Paris at the burlesque show, smiling, laughing, blah, blah, blah. So now, once again, I got to retract my own statements. The video of them smiling and laughing, that's in Paris. Okay? But it still goes to, like I said, sequence. My understanding, they didn't even know they were going to the Paris burlesque show. But then that also goes back to the Amsterdam issue. If you knew what happened in Amsterdam, you didn't like it, why would you then go to the Paris show? But then their counter position is, well, we need work, we need jobs. We're hoping it ain't going to be the same as what happened in Amsterdam, but that's why I'm saying, did they discuss with Lizzo directly? We didn't like what went down in Amsterdam. And if they did, what was her response? Number two, why then go to Paris to the burlesque show after you saw what happened in Amsterdam? See, this is, to me, just a glorified version of high school, college. This mess with Lizzo and these dancers. A glorified version of high school and college. He said, she said, just a bunch of BS. And the one problem I have is with the one lady who was discussing that one girl's virginity openly with other people and during an interview with some entity. Why are you discussing that girl's business? That's her business that she's a virgin. You act like you never heard of a person never having sex with somebody. Why is that a topic of discussion? I don't understand that. That's weird, creepy to me. And this is one of Lizzo's, I think, dance team captains or managers or something. Why are you discussing some dancer's private life? She's highly religious, allegedly. And she's, I guess, what, bragging that this girl is holding her virginity to herself. But then the flip side of that is the dancers are also accusing you of openly talking about your sex life with your husband. So how can you be highly religious, but then talking about your sex life with your husband? That makes no sense. See, this is what you're seeing. It's just a bunch of people with a bunch of fucking problems, and they're not meshing. That's why you have to think before speaking, think before acting, and think before reacting. Because one thing begets another. And with Lizzo having this open sexuality, I guess with touching and groping and girls and women touching each other, men, however it's going, maybe she also likes women. I don't know. Maybe that ain't for some of the young ladies who are dancing. How about that? And that's why I said that once you saw her demeanor, once you saw how she acts behind closed doors, you saw how she talked, how she behaved in public places. If it was not to your liking, you should have bailed out quietly. I want to thank you for this opportunity, ma'am, but I have decided to go on to something else. Now, if you was under contract with her, then you already know that once you break the contract, you won't be getting the monies if they hadn't paid you already. And if they paid you already, they could also sue you and ask you for the money back that they've prepaid. I don't know. I just think this is just too many irons in the fire. It's too many allegations to even keep up with. He said and she said, and this one over here did this, and her dance company did this, and this production company did this, and this lead dancer team manager did this. It's all over the place. And yes, it's going to look bad that she paid dancers previously before this lawsuit for that documentary that she allegedly didn't tell them about and aired it without their permission and didn't pay them anything. That is a bad look, because everybody knows that once you're in a film, you are supposed to pay the people in the film. That's just the way it goes. Now, movies are filmed every day. People are passing by. You know this. And naturally, a production company can't pay everybody on a public street. But if you have been brought on as a contract worker to be in the film as an extra or a speaking role, you ought to be paid. This is a mess. My next live stream is going to be pertaining to the ex-Suffolk County Police Chief, Mr. Burke, and Rex Heuermann. Do they know each other? I'd like to talk about that later on today. I want to thank you all for your time and joining me during this live stream. This was a conversation pertaining to Mr. Trump and his cohorts. They have surrendered in Georgia, been booked. Some have made bond. Allisha Watts' boyfriend has been arrested for her murder. She was found near a cemetery in North Carolina, an hour and a half away from her home. And also, Robert Kelly and Universal have paid monies to his accusers, $507,000, allegedly the remaining amount that he owes. And Lizzo is countersuing the women who are suing her for harassment and other said allegations. And we also now have new information that before that lawsuit, she paid dancers monies that she didn't originally pay when they were seen in a documentary. And she denies all current allegations against her. Just a lot of nonsense right now. If you'd like to donate to this great network, $Big Angie, 129 Cash App, stickers and chats are welcome during the live stream. Please stay safe and stay hydrated this weekend. It's very warm in a lot of states here, especially here in the South. Drink a lot of water and fluids. Stay inside if you can. And be aware of your surroundings while you're out shopping and enjoying yourselves. And I will be back later with more commentary. Rex Heuermann and Mr. Burke will be my next conversation. And also would like to do a little chit chat about BTK's daughter. There's something about her rubbing me the wrong way. Please check out my last live streams pertaining to Rex, Mr. Burke, and BTK and his daughter. I get a very creepy vibe about that young lady. She appears to be clout chasing to me off her father's notoriety, and I think that's a very bad look for her, especially being a woman and the fact that he killed women. And when you go back to the commentary, you will hear her use the word "we" a lot pertaining to she and the investigators who are now investigating 2 other crimes pertaining to women. And she creeps me out. We, as if she's an investigator. And that's just, to me, not a good look. We're going to chop that up a little bit later. Thank you for your time. You have been listening to The Vault. Excel.